When you have a binomial, which is two terms, you're going to have two situations. Well, you'll have three situations actually. You'll have one situation where the two terms have been squared, or you may have where the two terms are cubed, or you may not have either. And so sometimes you can't factor, which is okay. The first situation that we're going to look at is when we have two terms that have been squared and how we can factor those. I like to go by these rules when we have the difference of two squares, and we want to ask ourselves three questions when we have a binomial to factor. The first question we want to ask ourselves is, can you take the square root of the first term? So here is my first term, 16x to the fourth. Can I take the square root of that? And your answer would be yes. The square root of 16x to the fourth is 4x squared. Are these two terms connected with a minus sign? Yes. Can you take the square root of the last term? Yes. If you answer yes to all three questions, then you can factor using the difference of two squares. The difference of two squares says that when the first term is squared, connected with the minus, and the second term is squared, then the factor of that is the square root of the first term plus the square root of the second term times the square root of the first minus the square root of the second. Now, if you interchange the plus and minus, that is quite okay because the commutative property of addition or multiplication says that we can change the order. Okay, so here in this first example, the square root of 16x to the fourth is 4x squared. Square root of 81 is 9. Put a plus sign in one and a minus in the other. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of 64 is 8. Put a plus sign in one and a minus in the other. So could you take the square root of 25? Yes. Can you take the square root of x plus 5? Quantity squared. Yeah. And I would leave it totally in the quantity. I would leave it inside those parentheses. Oh, excuse me, 6x squared minus 54. Now remember in the previous videos we've talked about pulling out a greatest common factor before you get started. Can you take 6 out of 54? You need to ask yourself that question. What is 54 divided by 6? Would give you 9. Now look on the inside here. Can I take the square root of x squared? Yes. Is it connected with a minus? Yes. Can I take the square root of 9? Yes. So you have x plus 3 and x minus 3. $12x squared minus 48. Again, we're looking for a greatest common factor. Can we divide 12 into 48? You can. It goes 4 times. So now can we take the square root of the first term? Yes. Is it connected with a minus? Yes. Can I take the square root of the last term? Yes. So since we answered yes to all three questions, the square root of x squared is x. Square root of 4 is 2. And you're done factoring. Number 5 here. What is the greatest common factor here? I can take out an x, which leaves me x squared minus 16. Can I take the square root of x squared? Yes. Can I take the square root of 16? Yes. Positive and negative, 4. Now, sometimes you have a different situation. You have two terms that are cubed. So when we have the difference of two cubes, you will need to follow. I like to remember an acronym called SOFAs, and that helps me to remember the steps for factoring two cubes or the difference of two cubes. And this says difference of two cubes. It really should be the sum or difference of two cubes because it doesn't matter if you are adding or subtracting here. You can do it with both. the, the key is, are both terms cubed? Is the first term cubed and is the second term cubed? That's what you really need to be looking for. So when you have a situation, let's look at x cubed plus 8 as our example here as we walk through this. For the first set of parentheses, you want to take the cube root of each term. So we took the cube root of x cubed, which is x, cube root of 8, which is 2. We kept the sign in the middle. And then for the second set of parentheses, you want to follow your SOFA's acronym. So SOFA says that we want to square the first term, so x squared. We want to use an opposite sign, so that went from plus to minus. We want to do front times back. So you're doing 8x times 2, which is 2x. And you always want to look at absolute value there. So if this is like a negative 2, don't pay attention to that. Just do 2 times x. Always add the last term, or add right here, and then square the last term. So 2 squared is 4. All right, let's look at some more examples. What is the cube root of 27? 3. Keep your sign. What's the cube root of x cubed? X. Now, SOFAs. Square the front. Opposite sign. Front times back. Always add. And then square the last term, x squared. Okay, 2 cubes right here. Cube root of u cubed is u. Keep your sign. Cube root of 27v cubed is 3v. Now, SOFAs. Square the front. Opposite sign. Front times back. Always add. Square the back.